And once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Aquaba, and welcome to another round of the Conscious Roster Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, here on livingintheblack.com. My name is Kidi Owado, aka the Conscious Roster. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live. We come at you from 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's 12 noon for our East Coast listeners. 5 p.m. GMT and 8 p.m. East Africa time, we get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives, entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all the areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Tuesday. It is the 13th day of May, 2025 in the Western calendar. This corresponds to the year 6265 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we realign our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIB Radio, LIB TV, here on livingintheblack.com. And it is a pleasure, absolutely is a pleasure being with you today. I've got a good presentation I think that you are going to enjoy. And let me tell you about it first. Today, we're focusing on the book, A Year Against Cancer. And we're going to be talking about new frontiers in cancer treatment. Today, we examine in detail the new regenerative therapies and other modern modalities that allow us to take a definitive stand against cancer and other modern diseases, from growing new tissues to a spectrum of means to tap into the various energy fields within the body. We have a strong set of tools available to combat this ancient scourge. And that is what we have on the table for today. Now, I've got, it's a little bit of a complicated setup I'm going to be using today, but I think you will absolutely, positively enjoy what we have to present. So let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. Now, bear with me. I've got more buttons, and I have to wait until this thing runs out. And that is the ads, where our ads on the front of LIB Radio these days. So we're going to take those ads out of the way. I'm going to move this page over here, and we're going to do this thing. We got it all up and running, and hopefully we will get it. We will still be able to answer your questions. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this up on the table. You will be able to see it now. I'm going to shrink me down to the corner. And this is A Year Against Cancer with Living Superfood Solutions. Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. Now, I got one more button to push. And here it is. Here we go. Key themes that you will learn during this lecture, this PowerPoint presentation. It's a pleasure for me to put the PowerPoint up on LIB Radio. This has been a lot of work. Over 5 hours have gone into this, and this is just a beginning. But I think we got some good stuff we're going to be sharing with you. Today, we will be talking about the changing nature of cancer over the centuries. The West's terrible crisis of cancer diagnosis. Environmental stressors as triggers of the crisis. We'll be talking about pharmaceutical drugs that are shown to cause the crisis of cancer or worsen it. Pharmaceutical drugs, that's a very important part. Is cancer a modern disease? What do we know? Supplements and herbs for a cancer diagnosis. We'll be talking about nutrition and cancer risk. Cancer develops at a subcellular level. New frontiers in cancer treatment. That's what we're really going to focus on today. And prevention is the first cancer therapeutic. Now, I will say this much. Everything you are about to hear today is cutting edge research. Some of it is speculative. We are not here to give medical advice. We encourage you, if you have a diagnosis of cancer, to go to a medical professional and get proper care and advice. Nothing that is intended to be shown here today is intended as therapeutic advice, whatever. So let's go forward. What do experts say? These are experts in this field. From Rosalie David, who's at the University of Manchester, she says there is nothing in the natural environment that can cause cancer. So it has to be a man-made disease, down to pollution and changes in our diet and lifestyle. Cancers are limited to societies that are affected by modern lifestyle issues, such as tobacco use and pollution resulting from industrialization. What do experts say? Let's go to the next expert. Um, Bear with me here, and I am going to figure out what I'm doing here. Here we go. Let's go to the next expert. Dr. Norm Sharpless, director of the National Cancer Institute, says, quote, we need to focus on prevention and early detection rather than just treating cancer after it's already developed. That's the key to making a meaningful difference in the fight against cancer. Charlotte Gerson from the Gerson Miracle. Almost every healthcare professional and most medical consumers now know that the cause of over 70% of malignancies is in some way related to what we eat. Denatured food, in fact, is a main source of breast and colon rectal cancer, as well as of lung cancer in non-smokers. Every year, more medical and scientific evidence accumulates, revealing what we take in as food has a tremendous influence on whether we will develop cancer and whether we can cure it once malignant disease symptoms arise. What do experts say? Daniel S. Greenberg, journalist and science editor, after approximately 2 decades and several billion dollars, among the various types of cancer that account for 78% of the incidence, the upward trend in survival rates has not exceeded a few percent, a far gloomier picture than had been generally conveyed to a hopeful public by our leading cancer research institutions. Daniel Greenberg. This is what Pranoti Mandrekar has to say. Alcohol, whether consumed regularly or only on special occasions, takes a toll on your body, including causing cancer. Further, from the US government, even low amounts of alcohol, less than a drink a day, increase cancer risk. So that is one of our keys to this, is to decrease everything by everything we know, to decrease the incidence of cancer, decrease the risk of getting cancer. We're going to defeat it. A normal body has the capacity to keep all cells functioning properly. It prevents any abnormal transformation and growth. Therefore, the natural task of this cancer therapy is to bring the body back to that normal physiology or as near to it as possible. That from Dr. Max Gerson, writing in the 1930s about how he was able to cure cancer. And he actually testified to this in front of Congress. What experts say, I had to put in myself, you strive to do your best. And when these seemingly conflicting values between what you know and what you do appear, you must grow to trust your intuition to make appropriate choices. The key is to have a master blueprint for maintaining your preferred healthy lifestyle pathway. Let's go into this. Let's talk about the changing nature of cancer over the centuries. So, what's the problem? In Daniel Greenberg's eyes, it is that science is in danger of losing its soul through a steady ethical erosion and the misuse of the trust and confidence placed in it by the American people and their political representatives. He states that by virtually every relevant measure, the United States leads the world in a financing quality and volume of research, and it appears bound to maintain and increase its supremacy far into the near century. Yet those involved in the science enterprise are plagued by fear and paranoia, exemplified by the self serving myths of a golden age of government largesse in the past. The scariest words you will never want to hear, you have cancer. Greenberg's book recommends several fixes for the deteriorating healthcare R&D situation, which suggested, among other things, that one, journalists should stop acting as cheerleaders for science and become informed and skeptical critics, particularly of the shrill Washington lobbies for science. Point two, Congress should move beyond its uncritical pandering to science and instead exercise real oversight and force the executive to institute real spending priorities. Three, Greenberg also recommends several institutional reforms, including a breakup of the ossified elephantine National Institutes of Health. Let's talk about this failed war on cancer. A war on cancer initiated in the United States with the National Cancer Act of 1971. It aimed to find a cure for cancer through increased research and funding. Signed into law by President Richard Nixon, the act granted the National Cancer Institute broad authority to plan and develop a national cancer program that included National Cancer Institute, among other research institutes and federal and non-federal programs. It also established the procedure for submitting NCI's annual budget proposal called the Professional Judgment Budget, which was transmitted directly from the NCI director to the president and Congress. Despite significant progress in understanding cancer biology, risk factors, treatments, and prognosis for some types of cancer, such as childhood leukemia, the overall cancer mortality rate has remained disappointingly high. The act was intended to improve patient access to prevention and early detection, but progress in reducing overall cancer mortality has been slow. Critics argue that the quote, war on cancer, unquote, has not lived up to its promise, pointing to the lack of a definitive cure and the continued high mortality rates. While the National Cancer Act of 1971 has led to a monumental infusion of money into cancer research and a small set of advancements in cancer research and treatment, the quote, war on cancer, unquote, has not yet found a definitive cure and is thus regarded by some as a failure. Let's talk about the West. Terrible crisis of cancer diagnosis. In 2024, an estimated 2,140 new cases of cancer were expected. Let me repeat that number: 2,001,140 new cases of cancer were expected to be diagnosed in the United States, and 611,720 people would die from the disease. The most common cancers listed in descending order, according to estimated new cases in 2024, are breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung and bronchus cancer, colon and rectum cancer, melanoma of the skin, bladder cancer, kidney and renal pelvis cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, endometrial cancer, pancreatic cancer, leukemia, thyroid cancer, and liver cancer. The cancer mortality rate is higher among men than women: 173.2 per 100,000 for men and 126.4 per 100,000 for women. When comparing groups based on race, ethnicity, and sex, cancer mortality is highest in non-Hispanic Black men, 208.3 cases per 100,000, and lowest in non-Hispanic Asian Pacific Islander women, 82.6 per 100,000. So, Black men, you have been warned. Now you need to be leading. We need to be leading this whole campaign against cancer proliferation amongst our people. We're going to continue. Let's keep going. As of January 2022, there were an estimated 18.1 million cancer survivors in the United States. The number of cancer survivors is projected to increase to 22.5 million by 2032. Approximately 40.5% of men and women will be diagnosed with cancer at some point during their lifetimes, based on 2017 to 2019 data. That's 2 out of every 5 people will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime. You and I must make sure that that does not include ourselves. Pharmaceuticals are often toxic to cells. Cancer chemotherapy is a treatment designed to kill or to inhibit the growth of cancer cells, but it also has cytotoxic effects on normal, healthy cells. Chemotherapy drugs primarily target rapidly dividing cells, a characteristic of cancer cells. However, they can inadvertently affect other fast dividing cells in the body, such as those in the bone marrow, gastrointestinal tract, and hair follicles. The cytotoxic impact of chemotherapy leads to several side effects, including myelosuppression, which results in decreased blood cell production, causing anemia, increased infection risk, and bleeding issues. Gastrointestinal toxicity is common, manifesting as nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and mucositis due to damage to the gut lining. Alopecia, or hair loss, is another frequent side effect. Moreover, some chemotherapy agents are associated with long-term risks, including the potential development of secondary cancers, such as leukemia, years after treatment. Advances in cancer treatment have led to targeted therapies that aim to minimize damage to normal cells by focusing on specific molecular targets in cancer cells. Ongoing research seeks to enhance the therapeutic index of chemotherapy, maximizing its effectiveness against cancer while reducing its cytotoxic effects on healthy tissues. The relationship between the pharmaceutical exposure and cancer risk is complex, but certain medications have been definitively linked to increased cancer incidence. That quote from Dr. David Hunter. Legal drugs that can cause cancer. Plain and simple. In their published report, carcinogenicity of psychotropic drugs, Amerio et al. Found, quote, they found 63.6% of antidepressant drugs were associated with carcinogenicity, specifically mirtazapine, sertraline, paroxetine, citalopram, and escitalopram, duloxetine, and bupropion. Now, bear with me. I had to struggle. I still do struggle when I get to the names of these drugs. And these are the generic names. These are not the commercial names. Continuing, 90% of antipsychotic agents were associated with carcinogenicity. All agents were associated with carcinogenicity except clozapine. 70% of benzodiazepines, hypnotics, were associated with carcinogenicity, specifically clonazepam, zolpidem, zaloplan, diazepam, azopiclone, oxazepam, and midazolam. Continuing, 25% of amphetamines stimulants were associated with carcinogenicity, with methylphenidate specifically associated, but that's 25%. Going forward, 85.7% of anticonvulsive drugs, mood stabilizers, were associated with carcinogenicity, with only one agent, lamotrigine, not associated with carcinogenicity. Those associated with carcinogenicity were valproate, carbamazepine, gabapentin, pregabalin, oxcarbazepine, and topiramate. Additionally, I have listed over 30 drugs that have been shown to cause cancer in the book. We consider environmental stressors as triggers of the crises. Exposure to arsenic in drinking water is a major risk, major public health concern, and long-term exposure is associated with an increased risk of various cancers, including skin, lung, and bladder cancer. That quote from the National Institute of the Environmental Health Sciences. And it is what it is. Quote number 2 from the American Cancer Society: ultraviolet UV radiation from the sun is the primary cause of skin cancer, and reducing exposure can significantly lower the risk of developing this disease. American Cancer Society. Asbestos exposure is strongly linked to the development of mesothelioma, a rare and aggressive cancer that affects the lining of the lungs, chest, and abdomen. That from the World Health Organization. Benzene, a common industrial chemical, is known human carcinogen and has been linked to an increased risk of leukemia and other blood cancers. That from the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Tobacco smoke contains numerous carcinogens, and exposure to secondhand smoke is estimated to cause thousands of lung cancer deaths annually among non smokers. That from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Environmental exposures to carcinogens are responsible for a significant proportion of cancer cases, highlighting the need for effective public health interventions. That quote was directly from the American Cancer Society from their document, Cancer Facts and Figures 2019. The evidence linking environmental pollutants to cancer is compelling, and it underscores the importance of reducing exposure to these harmful substances. That from the World Health Organization 2016. We have a couple of more. Carcinogenic substances in the environment can lead to increased cancer incidence, particularly in vulnerable populations, emphasizing the need for stricter regulations. From the National Cancer Institute 2020, from their report entitled Environmental Factors in Cancer. Number 9, the link between environmental carcinogens and cancer is well established, necessitating a proactive approach to environmental health and safety. That quote from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's 2017 from the report, The Health Effects of Environmental Pollution. Number 10, reducing exposure to environmental carcinogens is crucial for cancer prevention and requires a collaborative effort among governments, industries, and communities. From the International Agency for Research on Cancer. And that is IARC 2018 from the IARC monographs on the evaluation of cancer risk to humans. Environmental carcinogens are a significant contributor to the global burden of cancer, with many exposures occurring in occupational settings or through pollution. That quote from the International Agency for Research on Cancer, the World Health Organization. And bear with me here. Okay. And next we have the link between environmental exposure to carcinogens and cancer risk is well established, highlighting the need for public health initiatives to reduce exposure. Reduce exposure. That's a highlight of what we are intending to convince our audience. We're going to reduce these exposures. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. We got a couple more. Reducing exposure to known carcinogens in the environment is crucial for cancer prevention and public health. American Cancer Society. We're harping on this point. Many cancers can be prevented by reducing exposure to environmental carcinogens, emphasizing the importance of regulatory measures. That quote was from the National Cancer Institute. So it is about reducing exposure. If you get nothing else from this, that's what you're going to get. Herbal supplements to prevent or treat a cancer diagnosis. There's a strong history for the therapeutic function of traditional Chinese medicine in advanced cancer patients, elderly patients, or in those for whom radiotherapy and chemotherapy are unsuitable. Notably, with few adverse reactions, traditional Chinese medicine can, quote, stabilize tumor lesions, improve symptoms, enhance the quality of life, and prolong survival time. Qing Hao artemisinin is one of those Chinese herbs traditionally used in this. It also includes huang qi, astragalus root, huan qin, Chinese skullcap, also known as Baikal skullcap, green tea, snake needle grass, Odelandia diffusa, Tian Min Dong, asparagus root, Gan Kao, licorice root, Fu Ling, also known as poria, sea cucumber, Ban Hua She She Ka, Oldenlandia diffusia, Nanan Nan Sha Shen, turkey tail mushroom, and horny goat weed, also known as barrenwort, has been proven in peer-reviewed studies to be an effective natural cancer cell killer. Let's continue. Traditional African herbal medicine for cancer. Additionally, traditional African herbal medicines used for cancer therapeutics or being investigated include plants like the Madagascar periwinkle, which is known for its role in childhood cancer treatments, and various other herbs reported in Kenya, such as burdock root and ginger. Additional African herbs include African potato, known as Hypoxis hermorrhoides, including Sunderlandia, Sunderlandia frutescens, including bitter leaf, Varania Varania amygdalina, devil's claw, Harpophytum procucums, baobab, Addisonia digitata, roselle, which is hibiscus sabderifa. Bear with me, we're struggling through it. Turmeric, known as curcuma longa, African ginger, Siphocinillus siphonachillus Ethiopicus, Kigella africana, sour sop, also called graviola, and in Latin America, guanabana, burdock root, which is known as lapa, Arctium lapa. There we go. Let's go. Is cancer a modern disease? This is very important. We got to know the background of this. The highest imaginable reward for this massive microbiological puzzle is to solve the challenge of cancer diagnosis that has become a plague upon humanity during my generation. In the opening chapters of the book, we had shared insights regarding the shocking rates of diagnosis that cancer has become at this stage of human and technological evolution. As will be pointed out later, the spectrum of differential cancer types further adds to the sense of overwhelm that is plaguing our generation. Yet, as was pointed out, cancer is a modern disease. Therefore, something in or from the past holds the key to resolving this crisis. At this point, we might best to explore this past by putting a microscope on the subcellular processes that are involved in oncogenesis, the formation of cancer tumors, and uncontrolled spread of the disease throughout the body that leads to morbidity and mortality. Cancer develops on a subcellular basis, presented in alphabetical order. These cancer-related subcellular processes and metabolic mechanisms include, in alphabetical order, apoptosis, autophagy, cell membrane, centrosomes, cytoplasm, cytoskeleton, endoplasmic reticulum, eukaryotes and prokaryotes, exosomes, extracellular matrix, genetic mutations that disrupt normal cell functions, the Golgi apparatus, histones, integrin beta 1 receptor, intracellular parasites, lipid rafts, lysosomes, mitochondria, nucleus, para- peroxisomes are cellular organelles, plasma membrane proteins, PKC iota, signaling molecules, telomeres, vesicles. Let's talk about new frontiers in cancer treatment. That's really what we came to learn today. This quote from Dr. Anthony Atala, director of the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. He wrote, and I quote, regenerative medicine has the potential to not only repair damaged tissues, but also to create new therapies that can target cancer at its source. Cancer can be prevented if we are smart and disciplined. Here are the things that we can do using the 7 principles of optimal health. We use the breath, we use hydration, optimize nutrition, sleep and rest, exercise, fasting and detoxification, and we also use our mind body matrix. And I should have said, because I don't really explain these in detail in this presentation, I should have said there are things that we can do using the 7 principles of optimal health. Let's go forward. New frontiers, regenerative medicine. One of the key areas of regenerative medicine and cancer treatment is stem cell therapy. Stem cells, which can differentiate into various cell types, can be used to regenerate healthy tissue and potentially replace cancerous cells. For example, in hematopoietic stem cell transplantation, HCST, high doses of chemotherapy or radiation destroy cancer cells, followed by the infusion of stem cells to rebuild the patient's blood and immune system. This approach is particularly effective in treating blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma. However, although this is a new therapeutic technique, I do not believe in destroying the cells and then rebuilding them. I am not an advocate for cut, burn, and poison, the triple toxic methods of Western medicine. New frontiers, adoptive cell therapy. This type of immunotherapy uses the patient's own T cells, a type of immune cell, to help the body fight diseases such as cancer. In cancer therapy, T cells are taken from the patient's blood or tumor tissue and treated in the laboratory with substances to better target and kill the patient's cancer cells. Large numbers of the treated T cells are then grown in the laboratory and given back to the patient to help the immune system fight the cancer. Types of adoptive cell therapy include chimeric antigen receptor T cell, CART T cell therapy, and tumor infiltrating lymphocyte TIL. It's also called cellular adoptive immunotherapy and T cell transfer therapy. New frontiers include acupuncture. Acupuncture, an ancient practice of traditional Chinese medicine, can complement cancer treatment by alleviating side effects and improving quality of life. It involves inserting thin needles into specific points on the body to stimulate nerve endings and promote cancer healing. For cancer patients, acupuncture can manage symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, and pain, often associated with chemotherapy and radiation. It can also reduce fatigue, improve mood, and enhance overall well being. By promoting relaxation and reducing stress, acupuncture supports the body's immune system, potentially improving the effectiveness of conventional treatments. While not a cure, acupuncture offers a holistic approach to symptom management and patient comfort. New frontiers include hyperthermia. Hyperthermia is an ancient medical wisdom that points to using heat for maintaining vibrant health throughout the centuries. Modern medicine is just beginning to understand the details of how temperature affects body systems. One thing is clear, however, hyperthermia is a powerful modality for creating alkalinity in the body, for boosting the immune system, and for preventing and possibly even reversing cancer. Body temperature is a part of our basal metabolism. Basic, I should say, not basal, basic metabolism. When your overall body temperature is lowered by just 1 degree, there is a corresponding decline in immune system function. Studies point to the effect of hyperthermia as an adjunct to more traditional cancer therapies. Hyperthermia is a powerful modality for creating alkalinity in the body, boosting the immune system, and preventing cancer. Going forward, we're talking about new frontiers immunotherapy. The following is an excerpt from the article Cancer Immunotherapy Practices and Principles and Practice. The research clearly summarizes the basic principles and research supporting cancer immunotherapy in clinical translation, contains expert guidance and treatment strategies for all immunotherapy classes and agents, including cell-based, bear with me, cell-based strategies, cell-based therapies, monoclonal antibodies, cytokine therapies, checkpoint inhibitors, oncolytic viruses, adjuvant approaches, and treatment combinations. It includes expert perspectives from leading authorities in the field, provides information on all FDA-approved immunotherapies, including clinical management and outcome data. It discusses clinical aspects of immunotherapy for individual cancer types, including melanoma and other skin cancers, lung cancers, gynecologic cancers, gastrointestinal cancers, hematologic cancers, genitourinary cancers, head and neck cancers, sarcomas, brain and other CNS cancers, and that's central nervous system cancers, breast cancer, and pediatric malignancies. It explains regulatory aspects behind the development and approval of immunotherapy drugs. And that was excerpted from Cancer Immunotherapy Principles and Practice, written by Lisa Butterfield, Howard Kaufman, Francesco Marincola, and published by Springer Publishing Company 2017. Let's keep going. New Frontiers, Combination Chemotherapy, or combination cancer treatment. Combination chemotherapy refers simply to the use of more than one chemotherapy medication at a time to treat cancer. In the past, cancer was often treated with a single drug, but current treatments for many types of cancer use a combination of two or more different drugs simultaneously. Since chemotherapy drugs affect cancer cells at various points in the cell cycle, using a combination of drugs increases the chance that all cancer cells will be eliminated. At the same time, however, using more than one drug has the disadvantage of increasing the risk of serious and perhaps fatal drug interactions. And if there is a problem, it may be hard to know which drug was at fault. This is a very risky strategy. This is a very risky strategy. We know that many of the chemotherapies for cancer are cytotoxic, meaning poisonous to the cells and tissues. Think this strategy out before committing to such potential destruction. Get the new book from the Conscious Rosalind Press. The book is entitled A Year Against Cancer with Living Superfood Solutions. Our knowledge base about the very nature and logic of cancer increases year to year, decade after decade. Still, the risks and rates of diagnosis of nearly all types of cancer continue to rise, in direct contradiction to this expansion of scientific comprehension. What in the world is going on? And how can we, through deliberate strategies, counter this cancer dilemma? This book is proactive, inspiring, and intended to excite the reader to positive actions that will undeniably impact our healthy plan forward, our healthy path forward. I am writing this book from the perspective of, quote, cutting edge research to serve an emerging leadership. I'm also writing about my personal experience in developing a precise health maintenance regimen using the living superfood 7 principles of optimal health. Now it's time to prepare this powerful disease prevention protocol, to share this powerful disease prevention protocol with the world. So I have published the book, A Year Against Cancer, and I encourage you to get the book, A Year Against Cancer, from KEIDI.biz, CRP 2012, http://KEDI.biz, CRP 2012. So that takes us through the end of today's presentation. I'm going to right now take a look and see if there's anybody that wanted to talk to me during the presentation. I don't see anybody. We do encourage you to hit the like button. We do encourage you to be active, be proactive. You do want to get the book. And here, one thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to just change this link to where I am not covering up the logo here. Here we go. Wait, wait, wait. Okay. That's not what I intended to do. We want to, here we are. Now I am not covering up not the logo, but the URL for the book. A Year Against Cancer. You can get it from http:// kitty.biz CRP 2012. If you have a hard time finding that, because some people come back and they say, hey man, I tried and I tried, but I couldn't find it. You can always text me. You can text me at 702 580 0662. Text me at not HTTP, at 702 702 580 0662 to get info on how you can beat the odds and not get a diagnosis in your lifetime. And I cannot overemphasize the point that 2 out of every 5 people listening to me, 2 out of every 5 will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime. That's unacceptable. That's totally, totally unacceptable. So we're going to do the best we can to do the best we can to avoid the diagnosis as much as we can do. Some people are not going to follow my instructions. They may say, well, it doesn't apply to me. Black men in America, the odds are most against you. Black women, if you love your brother, and I have no evidence that you do not love your black brother, and black man, if you love your woman, we're going to have to look out for each other. I have done the best I can, putting accurate information, getting to a great understanding of it, and putting it in your hands. What I read today was just a small, small portion of the information. I'm a little surprised, a little shocked, because we don't seem to have a response to this. I'm a little shocked, but we are going to persist. We are going to move forward. We have no choice. We're going to move forward and we're going to beat this in our lifetime. You can get the book at http keidi.biz / CRP 2012. I'm encouraging you to get the book. And I am doing everything I can to make it as accessible as possible. So I want you to take this seriously, y'all. Bear with me in the background. I am putting up links to the book everywhere I can. And we're going to beat this. I want to thank you all for tuning in today to LIB Radio, LIB TV, and livinginblack.com. I gave it my best. I did my best. I do my best. But we got to realize everybody's not going to make it. Everybody's not going to make it. On that note, I'm going to move forward. Do tune in tomorrow, and and let's build on what we did today. So I'm putting the link down in the comment section on Facebook, not Facebook, on what is the website? I'm putting it on the comment section. And I want to thank you for tuning in, Ben and Alter Ego. Imani, it's great to have you all in the house. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out for today. You've been tuned into your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV. We are livinginblack.com. Tell your friends to tell their friends that we have our own now. And we're very proud of what we've done. We're very proud of who we are. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you on your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV, livinginblack.com. So on that note, we're out of here, y'all. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you. And I'm trying my best to get us out of here. Peace, y'all.